Good morning, this is Angela with Parkrose Permaculture. Listening to the bird song and other sounds of the neighborhood while letting my ducks and chickens out this morning. They are happily enjoying their breakfast and ducks are bathing in their buckets of water. My neighbor's chickens across the street just finished laying eggs. There was quite a lot of clucking over there. Really enjoy the fact that lots of folks in my neighborhood keep poultry. We even have some neighbors that have goats. It's still chilly in the morning and I'm still making a fire first thing when I get up, but there's just tons of signs that spring is on the way, aside from all of the songbirds. Hear that song, sparrow maids, 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 put on your tea kettle. Lots and lots of songbirds, despite the huge number of cats we have. There still is a good songbird population. My roses are all really waking up. If we look over here, my Aromatnia quince also starting to leaf out. So I figured this would be a good time to talk about something that has come up, I would say a half dozen times in gardening groups in the last week or so. And I plan on making a more comprehensive video on it in the future. But for now, I just want to cover one thing. And the question that keeps coming up is, what can I add to my garden besides comfrey to help deal with my hard clay soil that has poor drainage? And you can check out my video on comfrey here. But there's lots and lots of things you can do in your garden that can improve drainage. And where I live, it's all pretty dense clay that holds water extremely well. And there are upsides to having clay soil. You don't have to deal with the issues of very sandy soil where the water just drains off, and clay soil really will hold the moisture, and there are benefits to that. But also it can become real boggy and waterlogged, and you need to improve your drainage. So today I want to talk about one thing that I do that I think helps improve drainage quite a bit in my experience. Besides the obvious permaculture plant of comfrey, which has these big roots and folks use it for a whole lot of different functions. And I have comfrey in my garden. I have a whole row of it along this fence. I have quite a bit in the front yard. I planted at the base of my fruit trees. So here is one of my secret weapons in improving drainage in clay soil. Again, I have several that I would like to talk about in the future once they've kind of woken up from dormancy, but this one is already getting going, and that is my rhubarb. I have several rhubarbs around the garden. I tend to scrounge and collect rhubarb wherever I can. So if somebody has an old rhubarb in a house that they bought and they don't know the name of the variety, I ask them if I can come get a root cutting. So these plants grow really well from root and crown divisions, so that I have as many varieties as I possibly can. This is a Victoria, which is the most common variety sold. And if you're looking to buy one right now, you can check out my video on the plant nursery and what you kind of want to look for. But as it's waking up, earlier than any of those other herbaceous perennials or other strategies that I utilize to break up clay soil, you can see here the crown looks like this as it's kind of getting going. And eventually it'll have really big leaves. And rhubarb does what's called stacking functions. In permaculture, we want to have plants or objects or items in our garden do as many jobs as possible, therefore increasing efficiency. So the rhubarb obviously provides food for people. When these leaves get really large, you will find that they capture and they funnel water down toward the base of the plant. They are their own water capture. And if you plant them near other plants that need extra water, they will help capture and funnel that water down toward them, like a mini little rain barrel almost, right? A little rain catchment collection device right next to your fruit trees or whatever is requiring water. So part of the reason that I find this plant is really useful to grow under my fruit trees, much like folks use comfrey under their fruit trees or nut trees in their orchard, in their food forest guilds, is because rhubarb, let me stand up here, has a big honkin' root system. So here's one plant, and you can see it slowly spreads. So this is the baby that it has created, and I have divided this every 3 years since we've lived here. So I've divided it 4 times and given away chunks to folks who want one, because it does get bigger and you do have to kind of maintain it. And what you find when you go to dig up the rhubarb is that here's the plant. The roots actually go all the way out around here. And the smaller roots will be the diameter of my thumb, but the bigger roots will be like my forearm. And the fact that rhubarb has this really robust root system means that it can dive down, bust up, open up that clay soil, and improve drainage. That's a lot of the reason why people use comfrey, is for the same purpose, because it has a really big root system. So when you've got clay soil, look for those plants that can stack functions for you, that can provide food or other services in your garden, medicine, but also have a big root system that can help open up that clay soil, particularly if it's something that you want to harvest quite a bit of. So when you harvest your rhubarb stalks or you chop and drop your comfrey, when you do that, when you remove quite a bit of the vegetative growth on the top, you end up getting root dieback under the ground. And as those roots die back under the ground, they leave an open channel. Right, so now you have improved drainage. So this is a plant that when you're looking to add something to your garden, to work on that clay soil, to work on having better drainage, go for a rhubarb. Yes, go for a comfrey. Yes, do things like allowing moles to proliferate in your garden. I have a whole other list of things I want to get to later, but I don't have time today. But definitely think about rhubarb. Now, folks will often say rhubarb likes a loamy, lightweight, well-draining soil. And again, I have not found that to be the case. I planted all of my rhubarbs first thing when I got my fruit guilds going. They were one of the first things I started putting in, and I had no topsoil. All I had was very dense clay soil. And what I found is that the secret is your rhubarb needs to be up. The crown needs to be up, much like my recent strawberry planting video, where the crown of the strawberry plant likes to be above the ground. The top of your rhubarb plant needs to be on a hill, uphill from where the water is draining, because the only thing I have found that kills rhubarb is crown rot. And that happens when you plant the crown of the plant in a depression and water can pool on top of the crown. So make sure you mound up a little bit and plant your rhubarb crown up high. And then it doesn't matter that it's in clay soil, it will do very well. And you'll find that you get improved drainage plus a delicious harvest early in the year of food. So on that note, I'm going to head back into the house and work on some projects today. I'll be out in the garden later. Hope you all get time in your garden as well. I'll be back.